we'll flag something up on your cameras and then we'll make a start. So just make sure you've got enough space where you are. Just gonna move this out of the way. Super. I love Tuesdays because it makes me put my washing away because this is where we do our drying in the house. So it's good, otherwise it would just stay out. Okay, right then, if you want to come to stand on your mats or in the space that you're working in this evening, and we will begin. So just bring your feet into that hip distance apart position. Just make sure your microphones are on mute if they aren't already. Okay, just softening your knees, relaxing your hands down by your side. So I appreciate some of you might have had a really busy day today. So we're just going to start by bringing our focus just into our centre and reminding ourselves of those lovely deep breaths. So if you want to close your eyes, you can do, or just focus on something that isn't moving and start to breathe deeply right down into the base of your lungs. You're trying to bring that breath all the way down so that your tummy rises as you breathe in and then falls as you breathe out. Lovely. And again, just be still with your breath for a few moments more. Seeing how deeply you can inhale, maybe just pausing at the top of that breath in before you let that breath just float away from you. And as you breathe out, just letting any tension go with your breath. I'll give you one more just to enjoy that lovely stillness with your breathing. Super. And then if they are closed, open your eyes. We're just going to begin to move. Now we're just going to start through some rolls through the shoulders. And I want you to try and keep that lovely deep breath throughout your next half an hour of your practice. I will keep reminding you though, as we often start to hold our breaths as we're starting to work a little bit harder or trying to concentrate. So just working through those shoulders, breathing in as the shoulders roll up and out as they roll down. We're just aiming to create a little bit of movement around the neck and shoulders. We're going to use this next one to set the shoulder position. So just drawing the shoulders down and away as if you're trying to gently tuck your shoulder blades into your back pockets. Just gently holding that position. We're going to start to draw the lower tummy towards the spine now. We're thinking about how the rib cage connects to the pelvis. 2 spring coils connecting your ribs to your pelvis. Try and tighten those spring coils ever so slightly. And we're going to add some movement through the arms. So we're going to float one arm up, keep that shoulder blade drawing down into your back pocket. Lovely. Then float that arm down and replace it with the opposite arm. So it's all about that control around your rib cage and your shoulders. Good. Just keep working. So we're going to breathe in as the arm comes up, and then out as it comes back down. So we're avoiding the ribcage flowing forwards and the pelvis tipping backwards. We want to keep that movement in the spine nice and controlled, and also making sure that that shoulder doesn't hitch up towards the ear as the arm comes up. We're looking really good, guys. So if you want to make it a little bit quicker now, so as one arm floats up, the other arm comes down. And you might just want to draw a little bit of tension through your lower tummy as you do that. So just below your belly button, just drawing that gently in towards your spine. But don't worry if you feel like you can't do that, because those tummy muscles are going to be working for you anyway. Keep breathing nice and deeply. Don't worry about when you breathe, just make sure you are breathing. Thinking about that rib cage isn't flowing forwards and those shoulders aren't creeping up. Lovely, lovely. Well done, Lucy, looking good. Oh, Isabel, you joined us. Fantastic. Good. Well done, everyone. Okay, you can stay here, or we can start to add a little bit of movement into the legs now. So this is where we've got to get those brains in gear. So opposite arm, opposite leg. We're just going to peel the heel off the floor and then lower down. Repeat on the opposite side now. So if your right arm's lifting, your left heel is lifting, and vice versa. Think back to that lower tummy, gently draw your tummy in towards your spine. Super. And we're aiming to keep the pelvis nice and level as well. So as those heels lift, we want to avoid too much shifting from side to side with the pelvis, okay? So imagine your pelvis is a bucket of water and you don't want to spill the water out the side of that bucket. Brilliant. Okay, we're going to do 2 more on each side. We're just getting going, guys. It's going to get a little bit harder in a minute. Okay, this time we're going to lift both heels up as one arm comes up. And then as the other arm comes up, we're going to come down into a little bit of a squat. So we come up with one arm and down with the other arm. Up with one arm and down with the other arm. Again, it's all about getting that brain in gear. So as we create these more challenging movements, we're starting to build up a little bit more of a wiring between the brain and our bodies so that we can move more efficiently as we go through our days. Lovely. Let me see how you're getting on with that. Super. Now remember, with your squats, you're imagining there's a little chair behind you and you're just perching your bottom on that chair. So you're taking a little bit more weight into your heels. Yeah, and so when you come down into that squat, give your toes a little bit of a wiggle. If you can't wiggle your toes, you're putting a little bit too much weight into the front of your feet. We want that weight to go into our bottoms to get those glutes working. Okay, we're doing a couple more here. Super. Okay, now we're going to stay lifted with the heels. So raise up onto tiptoes and see if you can challenge your balance now as you keep scissoring through those arms. Good. This is kind of our first Christmas exercise. It's our toy soldier. You're in the Nutcracker and you are marching across the stage. Sorry if you're not there with Christmas yet. I walked past my first house this morning. Sue, you might have seen this one, and it had full Christmas decorations out. Lovely. Okay, if your heels get, your calves, get tired, just lower them back down. Have a little rest, keep those arms moving though, but then join back in again when you're ready. A little bit of a balance challenge, but also really firing up those calf muscles. Remember that tummy? Can we draw it back in gently towards the spine? Okay, your bigger challenge now for those of you that want a little bit more, we're going to add that squat back in, but we're going to keep the heels lifted as we do it. So one arm comes up, and then as the opposite arm comes up, we bend down into the knees without lowering the heels. Okay, so we're keeping the heels lifted and we're just coming in and out of our squat position. It loads up your knees a little bit more. So if it doesn't feel comfortable for you, don't worry about adding the knee bend. I'm going to just turn side on so you can see how my heels stay lifted here. Good. And remember, you don't have to come too deep. You can keep them shallow. Very nice. Good work, everyone. Watch those shoulders aren't starting to creep up though. Nearly there. 3, 2, and 1. Super. Bring the arms down. Keep the feet hip distance apart. Heels are down. We're going to sit down into a little knee bend. Gently draw the tummy into the spine and pulse the arms into hundreds. So you're holding that squat position for me, okay? You're still keeping your weight into your heels. So as you hold that position, give your toes a little bit of a wiggle. If you can't wiggle your toes, sit back a little bit deeper. Position of your knees important as well. So imagine you've got a balloon between your knees. Don't pop it with your knees. And we're having a nice long spine. So don't stick your bum out behind you. Tuck your tailbone underneath and keep pulsing. Good. 3, 2, well done everyone, and 1. Super. Slowly push yourself back up to stand and give your legs a shake out. We're going to go back into that standing 100 sequence in a moment, but with the option, if you want to add the heel lift. So we're going to come down into that little squat. So you can stay here, or if you want to, just raising your heels off the mat, okay? Imagine you've got 2 jam donuts underneath those heels and you don't want to squash them. Tummy drawn in towards the spine and pulse. I'm getting you ready for those Christmas parties in your high heels. Good. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Super. Down we go, and slowly push yourself back up to stand. I hope you are feeling a bit warmer now. So we're going to carry on working into the legs, but this time we're going to take the feet a little bit wider apart now. So step wide along your mats or on the floor where you are, and just turn your toes out. So if you imagine a clock face, your toes are pointing at 10 to 2. Bring your hands onto your pelvis, and we're going to do some pelvic tilting here. So imagining your pelvis is a big bucket of water and you're just tipping the water out the front and the back of the bucket. Trying to lengthen your tailbone towards the floor and then send it into the back of the room. Tucking under and then sending away. Pelvic tilting, really good for lower backs. So just trying to really open up the joints in the base of the spine, and also recognise how this part of your spine can move at every different level. Sometimes we stiffen up in this area, and we're just trying to get every segment in your spine moving. Good. We'll do 2 more. And then we're going to try and come to where our pelvis rests level. So that bucket of water, we're not tipping any water out the front or the back. Now I want you to imagine you're stood against a wall now. So try and be as tall as you can with your back gently pressed against the wall. And we're going to slide down the wall. So just bending the knees, coming down into your plie squat, and then pushing back through the heels to bring yourself back up to stand. So you're really aiming to keep your spine stacked on top, hips on top of the shoulders, and you've got a glass of wine, Lucy, not you, resting on your head. You can have a can of Coke, and you're just coming up and down. Now this is a really good opportunity to do our pelvic floor exercises. So as we push up to stand, I just want you to do a gentle tightening through from your back passage, as if you're lifting through your pelvic floor to bring yourself up to stand. Those of you that want to, we're going to take it a little bit deeper. Let me see you. And remember those knees, they're going to go in the same direction as your toes. Well done, everyone. Just gently tuck that tailbone in underneath a little bit more. Super, Helen, you might want to go a little bit wider with your stance. I think you've got it. Beautiful. Okay, we're going to hold this next one. So it's your challenge to go how low you want to hold it. Arms back down by your side. Those arms are back now. So we're going to come back into our toy soldier. We float one arm up, and then the other arm comes up in between. So if you're finding that scissoring action too hard, slow it down a little bit and just move one arm at a time. So it's up to you whether you're moving both arms or one at a time. Okay, keep holding. The arms are just a distraction for the legs, really, because you should start to feel a little bit of a quiver in those thighs. But we know that that's what makes us stronger. So if you can, stick with it. If it becomes unbearable, just push yourself up to stand, shake out, and go back down again. When you go down again, just make sure you've got that lovely pelvic position. Let's keep that pelvic floor switched on as we're holding here. So you're either going to stay here. For those of you that want to, we're going to add those heel lifts back in. So as one arm lifts, the opposite heel lifts. We replace it and switch for the opposite side. So as your right hand lifts, so does your left heel. Always opposite with this one this evening. As you add those heel lifts, oh my goodness, you should really feel that leg working harder. Don't worry if you don't want to do the heel lifts, keep your heels down and work those arms. Remembering we're going to stand up when we need to, stretch out and join back in. You've still got that drink resting on your head. So as you lift those heels, try not to shift from side to side. Keep your weight going down the centre of your body. Let me see you. I like coming to see you because it means I get a rest. Nice, Rosie, looking good. Super. Okay, and then bringing the arms back down, we're just going to finish with a 10 count hold. You can either hold or pulse. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2 and 1. Brilliant. Slowly push yourself up to stand and bring those feet back to hip distance apart. Oh, that's definitely got me warmer. Okay, I'm going to do a few roll downs now just to open up the back and bring us down onto the mat. So just ease into your roll downs. If you're not familiar with them, the idea of the roll down is to get every bone in your spine moving on its own. So start by standing tall and then just curl your chin towards your chest and roll down through the bones of the spine. We're going to do a few of these, so don't feel like you need to force your first one. Just rolling into that forwards fold to a point where you feel a comfortable stretch through your back, into the back of your legs as well. Knees can be soft. Hang at the bottom. And remember that deep breath that we did at the top? We're going to do a nice deep breath at the bottom. Exhale. See if you can reach a little bit further on your exhale before you stack back up to stand again. And we're going to come up one bone at a time as well. So really building up through the spine. And then when you get to the top, you're going to go back down again. So just peeling through the bones in your spine. I like to imagine I am a piece of wallpaper being peeled away from the wall. Now your second one, you might feel a bit looser, a little bit freer. You can go a bit deeper. But again, just working with what's comfortable. Oh, lovely, Lauren. Well done, Liz. Slowly coming up. Nice control with that one. Good, that's it, Helen. Just breathe, hang there, and then step back up. Good stuff. We'll do a couple more. So for those of you that have got the flexibility to go down into that forward fold pretty much all the way, I challenge you on this next one just to bring a little bit more weight into the front of your feet so that your heels are just lifting the pressure off the mat, just enough for me to slide a piece of paper underneath. You should feel that just brings that tension a little bit more into your hamstrings and the back line of your legs. Super. Okay, we've got one more. We're halfway through, guys. I'm going to do some abs when we come down onto the mat. So just enjoy this last one. Nice and slowly peeling down, really focusing on any stiff segments in your spine. See if you can get that spine moving one bone at a time. And then once you've gotten to the end of that forwards fold, just softening your knees so you can bring yourself down onto the mat, where we'll start in our resting position. So lying on your back with your knees bent. Just give you a moment to adjust your cameras and get yourself comfortable there. So a little bit of a sequence to work on our abdominal strength and also the control around the lower back and the pelvis here. So we'll start at a sort of a level that we can then add layers up to. So I'll try and dip in and out of both levels and you just do what works for you. The key with this is kind of what we worked on at the start, so the rib control and the pelvic control. So remember those two spring coils? We're going to tighten them up so that the rib cage connects down towards the waist. And we're just making sure that we've got that neutral pelvic position as well. So you've got a small gap in the small of your back, just enough for a sponge to sit. We don't want to squash that sponge completely though. Okay, we're going to come back into those toy soldier arms now. So when you're ready, just start to float one hand up over towards the top of the mat. Now you might get to a point where you think, I can't take my hand any further without my rib cage lifting up towards the ceiling. So just work within that controlled range. You're going to bring that arm down and you're going to try that on the opposite side. Now as you bring the arm up and over, you might find that you want to gently draw in through your center, either pelvic floor or lower tummy, and that might help you to control that movement of your rib cage. Imagine you're lying on a nice warm beach and you're trying to keep your rib cage printed down into the sand. So you're leaving an imprint of the back of your rib cage where you're lying. As the arm floats up, naturally your rib cage will want to flare, but we're going to control that movement with thinking about it, but also using that gentle contraction of the center. Okay, we're going to add the opposite leg into tabletop now. So as the left arm floats up, we bring the right leg into tabletop. So tabletop is where we stack the knee over the hip. And then we're going to lower down. I'm going to repeat that on the opposite side. So really focusing on the control around the pelvis. Remember that drink that we had resting on our head earlier? It's now resting on our waist. So as we swap legs in and out of tabletop, we're going to try to not switch the weight too much from side to side. So keep your weight in the center of your pelvis. And remember your tabletop position, your knee steps over your hip and your heel is in line with your knee. So we're not too close and we're not hanging down here either. So really aiming for that nice 90-degree angle. We come and see how you're getting on with that, and then we can add a few more challenges. Very good, everyone. These look beautiful. So you can stay with these if you feel like that's enough of a challenge. Or we're going to speed it up so we kind of get that switching motion at the arms and the legs now. What I would suggest with this one, if you're going to go for it, is just think about those spring coils, compress them down a little bit more so you're building up more tension through your tummy. Okay, so as the left arm goes over the top, right arm goes over the top, the left leg lifts. And then we bring that foot down and the opposite arm down and we switch midway. I'm sorry, I'm not doing a very good job of explaining that. So just have a little look at what we're doing. So the arms and the legs switch midway. Scissors level 3 and toy soldier arms. Now only doing this if you can do it comfortably. It shouldn't feel like your back is lifting away from the mat. gently pressing into your sponge but not squashing it completely, and keeping your ribs drawn down towards your waist. You should feel that that's really increased the tension now in your tummy wall. Okay, so working those abs a little bit more, but with nice control. Let me see how you're doing. Goodness me, time really does fly with this. That's good. Well done, Ivana, looking strong. Good, Rosie. Softly tapping that foot down if you can. Well done, everyone. We've all taken that challenge on. Okay, we're going to pause with the right leg in tabletop. The left hand is reaching over to the top. We're going to take it into a one leg stretch. So stretch that right foot into the middle of your room and then fold it back into tabletop. Hold the arm where it is. Stretch away with the leg and fold back in again. So your challenge here, you can either keep the leg high or you can stretch the leg down towards the floor, keeping that constant pressure on your little sponge in the small of your back. If you get any plunking in your hip, don't go quite so low. Keep that leg a little bit lifted and drawing in through the pelvic floor as we stretch the foot away. We're going to do 4 more stretches, really squeezing your thigh. Keep your arm where it is. Squeeze and extend the back of the knee. Good. 3 more. Hi, Paul. 2 more. Good. And hold this next one. So lengthen that leg away. We're either high or we're low. We're going to bring that left hand up and over. Hands now back by the side. We're going to come into hundreds. So pulse the arms. So we're either here with our hundreds, or for those of you that want to work upper abs, reach a little bit further so you can float your head and shoulders off the mat and pulse here. Okay, so you could be here with the leg, here with the leg, up with the head or down with the head. Pulse for me. 10, 9, little gap between the chin and the chest, remember. 8, that's better. 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. So you could come in down with the hands, maybe the head, and just hug your right knee towards you. Very nice. Second side, here we go. So back in your rest position. Bring your left leg into tabletop, float your right hand up and over the top. Now hold that right hand lift as we lengthen with the left leg this time and fold back in. So just get a feel for what works for you on this opposite side. It may not be that you automatically do the same level. So start lifting the leg high, and if you're happy with that, you can stretch the leg a little bit lower. Again, just looking for any sort of clunking in the hip. Just want to work in that clunk free zone, and always making sure that the rib cage isn't sort of lifting off the mat, and the back is gently pressing into your sponge. Oh my God, loads to think about there. Are you breathing? Pelvic floor with this one, so gently squeezing the pelvic floor as you stretch away. Good work, guys. We've got 4 more. Beautiful. 3 more. 2 more. Remember, when you come back into your tabletop, just keep the knee over the hip, don't let it collapse any closer. And then holding your next one, stretch that leg away, bring the right hand back over by your waist, palms facing the floor. We're pulsing through the arms to come into hundreds, with the option of adding that little prep with the head. Abdo prep, slide the rib cage down towards the waist, little gap between your chin and your chest, and we're pulsing. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Super. Then bring your left knee and hug it towards you. In fact, bring both knees, hug them in towards you. You deserve a little hug there. Gently rocking from side to side on the lower back as well, just to massage out the small of the spine. Good stuff. Just do a nice deep breath in for me. And out. And then when you're ready, you're just going to roll onto your side and bring yourself into box position. So we're going to do some hip work now in our 4-point kneeling position. Any of you with Wrist complaints, remember you can always take your weight through your knuckles, or you can bring yourself onto your forearms, depending on what works for you. So we're in our box position, hands and knees, make sure your knees are hip distance apart. We're going to start with a bit of a swish of our tail, so just gently let your pelvis rock from side to side. So as we do that, just thinking about the neck position. So once you're happy with what you're working on, you don't need to follow the screen. You're just going to look down between your hands. Imagine there's a mirror there and you're just looking in your reflection. But we don't want the head to hang down heavily. So there's a balloon attached to your back of your head. If you've got a ponytail, it would be there. And it's just floating your head away from the floor. And then you're going to slide your shoulder blades down, tuck them into your back pockets. We're still swishing that tailbone, yeah? Side to side. We're going to gently start to draw the tummy away from the mat. So just tightening gently below your belly button, as if you've just tightened the belt on your trousers slightly. Okay, let's find that middle position now between those two tail swishes. And we're just going to lengthen the tailbone towards the heels. So if you were to imagine how your body looks now, you've got a nice long spine. That tray of drinks is back, that drink is back, sorry, and it's just resting on your back now. So we want to keep that drink really nice and level. So we're going to come into our dog peeing up a lamppost. So we just did some tail swishes. We were being dogs. We're now going to take one leg out to the side. Let's all do the right leg. We're going to float that leg out to the side without spilling that drink that's resting on our lower back. And then bring that leg back in. We're going to go back to the same side. So floating the leg out. It's not about how high you lift that leg. It's about that drink that's resting on your back. Because I bet you could lift your leg loads higher, but you'd spill your drink over to the left side. So if you work with a little bit of visual feedback, on your next one, just glance down towards your left leg. As that right leg floats out to the side, we're really aiming to keep your hip stacked over your knee. I'll show you from this front position. So we're keeping that stability around this hip and not twisting as we lift the leg. So I don't care how high that leg comes, it could just be here. That's fine. You should be feeling this on both hips. The hip that's moving as it lifts and lowers the weight of your leg, and the hip that's stabilizing as it controls that pelvic movement. Now at any point, if you need to, sit back into your heels and stretch those wrists out. I'm going to pump some air into all of your helium balloons. So lifting the back of the neck away from the mat, that's better. Super. Now I'm hoping you're already feeling these because you've probably done about 12 or so already. So we're going to add a little bit more of a challenge now. If you don't like the next exercise, keep going with those side leg lifts. Otherwise, we're going to lift that leg into that position, and then we're going to try and kick the back corner of the room. So you're pushing your leg, pressing it into the corner of the room. It's not coming behind you as we do with our swimming. We're going for a diagonal line through the leg. It should really hit you in those glutes there. Try and keep your foot in line with your knee if you can, so you're not kind of kicking down towards the floor. We're lifting that leg. That should feel glorious, okay? Maybe not. We've got 4 more. Check that left hip, you're not tipping over. 3 more, or you're just doing the leg lifts. 2 more, and then we are going to hold it. So hold where you can, either with the leg lifted or the leg out straight. Keep holding, guys. Oh, watch those heads, keep them lifted. Oh yes, good. 5, 4, 3, well done Helen, 2 and 1. Super. Come back down and sit into those heels and have a little stretch, little rest. Don't think about it because we've got 1 more side to do. So your last little bit of energy for this evening, you're going to reserve that for your left hip now. So when you're ready, bring yourself back into your box position. Set yourself up, lifting the back of the head, shoulders sliding down into the back pocket, tailbone lengthening towards the heels. Draw the tummy towards the spine, and then off we go. We're floating that left leg out to the side, trying to keep your knee sort of in line with that plane of your hip. And if you want to, have a glance down, see what's going on that right hip. If you've got a book near you, maybe you can put it on the back of your pelvis. Maybe if you've got somebody else working out with you. We've got a couple of couples in the class this evening. You can check each other's technique. or just focus on your own maybe. Good. Okay, keep it going. Left side, guys. Don't worry if one side feels easier than the other. It's quite normal, okay? So doing what you can. So just doing that side leg lift with the knee bent. We'll add those kicks in a moment. Good. 2 more. Well done, everyone. Okay, now for those of you that want to, we're going to take it into that diagonal kick. So lifting the knee and then pressing the heel to the back corner of the room, sliding back in, stretching out and sliding back in. That should really feel like it gets you deep in your hip. All of this one. Love and hate at the same time. Good. If that's not for you, just come back, lift and lower. Lift and lower. It takes quite a lot of strength through the glutes to take it through that hip stretch. So as I say, work with what works for you, but we've got 4 more, 3 more. Are we breathing out as we stretch? We'll lift in as we lower, and we're going to lift and hold or stretch and hold here. Last little push, guys, and then I will leave you for the rest of your evening. 5, 4, 3, watch that glass of wine on your back, 2, and 1. Super, come back in for me, back into your box position, but then we're just going to sit back into our heels, take it into your shell stretch, just to give the back and the hips a little bit of a stretch. And I like to add that tail swish back in, so you're just gently rocking from side to side, just to open out the sides of the hips. You should feel that kind of gently hit you in that spot that you just felt in your last exercise. Okay, and then just sitting back into your hips, just in the center, and we're going to close down with 3 deep breaths. Just letting your head hang heavy, if you can, resting down on the mat. A couple more breaths. And then you can hang out here a little bit longer if you're enjoying that stretch. Otherwise, bring yourself back to sit and maybe to stand.